Hello, my name is Salvatore L, and I'm going to display my final project for Android app development. It is a volunteer manager for a local nonprofit in Danville, Pennsylvania. All right, here we go. So first, we're going to talk about the overview, my purpose, and then the design elements that were specified for the requirements. First off, the purpose is to provide a user-friendly way for volunteers and administrators of the Young Samaritans organization to add, delete, and access their information. The two elements that I use to accomplish this goal are I implemented Firebase, which links that's linked to the Android app. It holds all the string information for each volunteer and event that appears on the app, and also later at the end I added a Firebase storage, which is that holds images and things of that, like larger things. Um, there's also a link that holds images that are taken through the photo. The second thing that we use is the camera, which I learned how to use because we didn't do that in class. Um, for an administrator, they can log into the app and take photos to commemorate any events that are happening. Take pictures of volunteers doing things or to promote the events. Um, that's the idea, and then anything that is saved is then stored under a name into the Firebase storage for use later for social media purposes or anything like that. All right. So just so you know, the Young Samaritans. So this is my personal motivation for doing this. This is a club that I started in high school to get high school students out there doing volunteer work. You can see me right here at a local car wash that we did years ago. It's fun. I thought this would be a good idea because it has real world connections, and also it is a club that is still going on now. It's in its fourth generation now, so that's very exciting. And also, I thought it would be a fun prototype idea for an app that the group could use in the future. If refined, and this is a good way to test all of that, I would say. So for some user experience, of course, you're going to see a clip of how it's used probably after this part. Um, but for some things to be aware of, some bugs and unexpected behaviors, the list views for the volunteer sign up events, um, they're made out of three lists. So the problem with that is when a certain amount are added, then you have to like line them up. If I could go back, I would probably change that now. But is a thing to realize, and probably unexpected for a user. It's a little unnatural. When signing up for events, users can get duplicate events. Like you can just add multiple if you want, and there's nothing stopping it. And then also when you're adding events or volunteers under the admin view, there's nothing to check or stop from duplicates being made. So to refine this, I would probably go in and try to make checks for that. And the only thing for the gallery section is like I think it's organized pretty nicely, but it would be nice to be able to see the photos after you've taken them because you can't. They are saved to the Firebase storage for later, but obviously that is a little unnatural, I would say, and I can't admit that. Um, but in the future, that would be what I would implement. But just so you are aware. All right, so this is going to be showing how the Young Samaritans volunteer app would work from a volunteer's perspective or an admin's or administrator's perspective. So first off, we're going to sign in with a um, volunteer account. Um, this is all saved on the Firebase. Um, so the username and password uh, listed here, which is Salvatore 12, and then password 123 is in the Firebase, which is where this is going to be checked at. So here, once you log in, if you're a valid user, obviously that was correct, so you were able to get in. You'll see the upcoming events that are listed here, which come from the Firebase as well. The way it works is every time there's a new one added, it adds a table row to this image just to give it a nice look there, and you can see all the event information. There's the upcoming events. On the bottom, you can see Salvatore 12's activity that will change depending on which user's there, showing how many hours you have, which actually equals the amount of past events hours that you have. There's a math formula that happens, and then if for some reason there's a disconnect with how much you have here and on the Firebase, it will update the Firebase as well based on the different past events that are in there, and we'll also change it into the hour spot. Also, you can see a nice list view of your clothing, your different events that you're signed up for. And here you can like read which event you want to join. You can say, all right, let's pick one to sign up for. Um, I don't know. Let's say we want to sign up for uh, the clothing drive, which I know we're already in here. And as you can see, is one of the user problems right now. There's no updating to make sure you only have one, but I'll just show you that now. We can say, oh, I'm in. And then you can see it pops up right there. And then it is also updated in Firebase. Um, all right, so then we're going to go. Oh, also important to note, At the bottom, you can see some links. The first one will bring you to the website of the Young Samaritans. If we give it enough time, it will get there. Um, yeah, here you go. The Young Samaritans is working on their website, but that is the actual website for the Young Samaritans. Um, then to the Instagram, Facebook, and then a link to their email. I'm not going to open them all up, but of course they're there and they're all locked into that footer position as a nice way to get to your socials if you need. Then here we're going to look at the admin page, which the only admin page we have, the account that I have added on the Firestore is one called uh, admin 123, and then admin 123. Of course, you would want better passwords, but for testing cases and everything, we're going to keep it nice and easy. I guess we can also show this. If you hit clear here, it will just remove that. This is a nice feature in case you know want to reset real quick. Let's put this in really quickly. Log in, and because we're a valid administrator, we can go to this view, and here we have a lot more information here. You can see all the different volunteers that are under that are in the Firebase. These all come from the Firebase again. Like if you look at Salvatore 12s, we can click and see a nice view of the username, hours, what events we're signed up for, which is a list. You can scroll through, including the one we just added, and you can see the past events, which is also a list, but my account here only has 2. When it comes to events, you can do you can do the same thing. See all the events that you have upcoming, which if you change it here, add or remove, which we'll show you in a second, they'll change for the volunteers view. And like if you want to get more information about the clothing drive, for example, this pops up. You can get all the information you need as a, as the administrator. Same with past events, you know. And then of course, and then here we can also add and remove. We'll start with the volunteers. So let's add, we're going to just make up, we can do whatever username we want. We're going to just make up something random just so we know that it's wrong so we can delete it in a second. It's going to add it right here, which you can click and it won't break it or anything, but because we have no other information, it just doesn't pop up with anything. And if you check Firebase, that will have been changed and added. We'll show you how to remove here. You hit remove, this comes up just because if you hit proceed, you will have to choose one and you will be deleting it, and it is irreversible because it will also change on the Firebase, so it's important to let the user know that. So we'll first try proceeding. Now we have to choose one, so we're going to choose that one. It's deleted, and now it is also deleted from the Firebase. It's just important to note, like if I hit Salvatore, you see it did not delete it. Because what it's going to do is when you hit proceed, it's going to look for that next click. So if we hit remove again and we hit cancel, we can see, okay, look, we're not going to delete our app or our Tommy 24. So there you go. And then events work the same way, which we'll show you real quick. I'll just show you one example because it's the same for upcoming events and past events. It just gets saved differently. Here we can add different events. So let's just say we're going to the carnival. We're going to make a carnival event. A date, which we're going to want it in year, month, day, just for organization purposes. Just make up a date here. 21. Let's say it's at 2 p.m. Location. Let's just say it's in a field. I'm not sure. Let's say field. Oh. Field. And then let's say the hours that somebody can pick up for doing this activity is 5. If we add the event, it is now added here and added to the Firebase. And if I would want to remove it, I can hit remove. Similar thing comes up, but for events, we proceed, we can delete. And then same thing happens. Same as you can see at the bottom, we see our links for the socials. And then here is our use of the camera. We can open a gallery. So the idea here is for an administrator to have this tablet at an event, and they want to, commemorate different things that or they want to save pictures to their Firebase, their Fire storage, so then later, like their social media person can go and take all the images. So like, let's say we're at a car wash, so we're going to want to choose a name for our picture that we're going to take. Let's just say we're going to call it car wash, and then we're going to hit take photo. It's going to open up this. Oh, look, there's some people doing a car wash. We take the picture. All right, we approve it. And then now we can see that photo has been added to our Fire storage here and with our name. I would love to have had it so I can show you the picture here, but I unfortunately ran out of time, which you'll see in the presentation, the other portion of the presentation. But if we look at the Fire storage, you'll see that is saved under that name and there and accessible the picture. So that's a brief show of the different how this project works, and I hope you enjoyed. So for some implementation, so here's like a little bit of what the Firebase or the Firebase store or the Fire store I think is what it's called technically for the string stuff. It's kind of organized in this way of like we have an admins list that holds all the the admins, the clients, which I actually end up logging in as Salvatore here, Salvatore 12, and you can see he has past events and upcoming events, and this is the same for all three of these. You can see the hours. And these are lists that are containing the events specific to this user, to this volunteer. There's an events tab for all the upcoming events happening. Images that are going to store the URLs for the images for if you were to grab the photos from Firebase or from Fire Storage, you would want those URLs which are saved here, so then you can grab them. And then a list of the past events. So that's just an idea of what it's like on the database side, or how I chose to organize it. Here's just an example of how you would add a volunteer. So like in the program, if you're on the admin view, you can enter a username and password for the new volunteer that you want to add, and it will be listed as a username on the UI. But so the way we do it, I just thought this was interesting because it took me a while to understand how to actually access and then add things to the Firebase. But so the way they want to do it is make a map with a string and an object, and then you're going to add these two, like add your username and password to it. And the way I have it doing it is if both of them or if either of those are have nothing in them, we just just pretend like you didn't add something, like it just didn't work, because you obviously want to have something for both of those. So we have a verified user, it just dismisses it. But here, what you're going to do is you're going to add the username or password. These are going to be the fields within this that you're going to want to add them to, so they have to match, or it will make a new one, I believe is what will happen. And then you add the ones you want to it, and then you do DB, which is the database on this program, dot collection, and then dot add. And the clients is obviously where we're at here, and it's going to go into here and add it to the volunteer data, which is here. So we're going to make a new document, basically, is what we're doing. And then also here is just where I have it, adding it to an array list and then adding it to the list view so you can see it visually. I just thought this was personally interesting because it did take me a long time to understand how to access and then work with the Firebase. That was probably the most challenging part of the project, but I thought I would mention that because I thought it was interesting. Here's a little bit about the Firestore for the images. I thought it would be important to obviously save the images that you need. So this is kind of what it looks like. This is a picture taken from the tablet. On the video showing how the app works, we took a picture of something different, but here it's just an example one, and then here's how they're saved. You can either save them by name, and if you don't save them by name, it gives it this generic name with image and then .jpeg with the information just from the tablet that it generates from taking the picture. So that's how we handle that storage of the gallery view. So as a conclusion here, I'll just say that it was a fun challenge, and it really taught me the time that is needed to create a polished product, because I feel like I put a lot of time into this. Obviously, we had a whole semester, but there is still bugs and things that could be polished out. So it really has taught me like the importance of really putting in the time to things, and all that comes into it. Unexpected challenges that come up. So that was very important, I would say. I wish I could have implemented a way to see the photo onto the screen, because it is a little bit elementary how the camera is used. But I hope you can see the idea behind it and the motivation behind trying to use it. So even though the UI is is pretty basic, I would say. But I would like to. I personally think that because of the colors and the fonts mixed with the actual brand colors, I took those colors straight from that. With the footer at the bottom, with the social media, I think all of that consistency really brings a lot to the app personally. At least a basic appeal. And I also think that the connection to the outside world and the personal motivation for me, I hope you can appreciate that unique, idea from that. So I think that's everything about this. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the project.